The rivalry between Crystal Palace and Brighton has run deep since the late 70s and produced plenty of action on and off the pitch over the years. Just think Alan Mullery, Andy Johnson, Kelvin Morton, and you begin to get the picture. And while the two will renew acquaintances in the Championship next season, the Derby of the South has actually been played every year for the past decade between the two sets of supporters. When Brighton fan Robert Eaton died in the attacks of September 11, 2001, his friends and family set up a fund in his name that has supported underprivileged kids in America, the UK and Africa ever since. And as the fund reaches its 10th anniversary, it has already raised more than £80,000 through the annual game, golf days, marathons and other initiatives. It has even been a help for his family to cope with the loss of a loving son, brother and father. To the games though, and after a run of defeats that lasted 6 years, the Palace team finally got back to winning ways last year to leave the series at 6-3. 5 of those defeats were on penalties. This year is my 8th REMF game, having had mixed fortunes in my previous 7 appearances, including 3 goals and some pretty shocking misses. But even as editor of the Palace fanzine 5-year plan, I've come to appreciate how a rivalry can turn something tragic into something worth supporting. And it's also turned a rather nasty rivalry between 2 clubs that have for years really hated each other into, for me at least, something friendlier, more fun, and a dynamic that has further reaching effects beyond what's just on the football pitch or in the terraces. Here's what happened on April 29, 2011, the 10th Robert Eaton Memorial Fund match. So once again to Lewes FC's wonderfully named Dripping Pan Stadium for the 5th year running, and I was in a positive mood. Well, I've made it down from Croydon on the train. I'm really excited. I've worked really hard. I've actually been in the gym for a few weeks, sort of pumping up, trying to get my muscles up. Because the last few years I've been pretty terrible, and I really want to score a goal. Of course, the main thing is obviously that we want to raise a lot of money, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's a nice day. The ground looks good, so hopefully they get a lot of people in, and we can raise a lot of money. And obviously, hopefully, Palace can win. Palace had won just one of the previous 4 meetings in Lewes, losing the rest on penalties, and we were keen to turn our fortunes around. And once in the changing room, it was down to business, but not before I caught up with some pivotal faces from the fund.
Well, first of all, it's brought Palace and Brighton together because obviously they're massive rivals. So just we all come together for one, and we've raised nearly £100,000. So can't say much more than that, and it's all going to help small kids like their sports equipment around Sussex and even around the world. So
it is really. It just shows that human spirit will always overcome that atrocities really, and the good will overcome. And what's been achieved after 9/11 is a testament really to Robert Eaton and also to the spirit of human beings really, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's a great cause. A lot of kids get gear to play. Usually wouldn't be able to get a chance to play. Robert actually had a picture of me in his office, so also that pissed me off as well. And I think it's just a good cause. They asked me a couple of years ago, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll come over. And it helped with the gate, so they asked me last year, and I'm here again for a 3rd. So I think it's worth it, I mean, everybody works hard for the cause, and if whatever I can do to help, I will.
And while the Brighton players prepared in a professional manner, the Palace warm-up consisted mostly of chatting, catching up with each other after a year, and keep-ups. But as kick-off approached, I wondered if the Brighton lads had a different view of Palace now.
I do, I do. I must admit I do. Just it's hard to say. Well, it's obviously nothing to do with the team. Just all the friends I've made through REMF. You didn't think this sort of stuff would happen, so it has.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't realise how serious they take it. They want to win. Each team wants to win so bad, and I mean, I just come over just to play and see some old friends and try and get the crowd up a bit. And I was kicked all over the place that first match. I couldn't believe it. Terrible.
I think it's special because in 2001, after 9/11 and the events, it was brilliant that the Crystal Palace supporters came on board and offered to play the charity football match, because obviously they were our fiercest rivals, and it made sense to play our fiercest rivals, and they've been involved for the whole 10 years, and without them the fund wouldn't have achieved what it has done. And also the Brighton and Hove Albion supporters have they all embrace the game, and there's a friendly rivalry, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that we love each other, but certainly there's a mutual respect, and I think it's done a lot to enhance that between the two clubs. Of course, on the day it will be a fierce game, and you know, both teams will want to win, but together we've achieved something very special in the name of Robert Eaton, and has provided lots of kit and equipment to children all over the world. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
And so to kick off, and as the teams emerged from the changing room and lined up for the customary handshakes, I was desperate to get off to a good start. Mainly because I wasn't sure how long my fitness would allow me to take part, and especially as there was a decent sized crowd. The Brighton team had a slightly different look to it this year, but the Palace boys were mostly the same bunch that had played in every game. And I needn't have worried, as Ben Couchman towered above the Brighton defence to put Palace into the lead 7 minutes in. There followed a few scares for the Eagles' defence, most of them orchestrated by ex-Albion pro Paul Rogers, whose shadow I spent most of my time chasing. But it was soon 2-0 through my brother Seba. As for me, I was finding the rigorous gym work did not pay off. Aside from a few passes, dribbles and crosses, my appearance in REMF was once again limited to running, getting a stitch and secretly wanting to come off. Not since 2004 have I really done much more. Palace kept attacking early on, but after those initial 2 goals, the Seagulls' defence was letting little through. I did put in one decent Darren Ambrose style cross here though. That was where the comparisons between the Palace REMF team's number 7 and the first team's number 7 ended. Palace continued to dominate against a solid Brighton side, but my involvement waned, and after one late burst into the box, my time on the pitch was up. After a muted second half, Palace held on to win 2-0 and retained the trophy for the first time since 2003. Everyone from both sides was all smiles straight after the final whistle, although the Brighton lads will surely be frustrated at another defeat, but to their credit, and in the spirit of the night, they didn't show it. It was those 2 early goals that had killed the game off, although the Palace team do have a history of chucking away leads, 2 goals in 2007 and 3 goals in 2009, but this time they held on. Shaking the hands of the team and the ex-pros like Peter Ward and the sextagenarian Ricky Marlowe made me realise that they had actually spent more time on the pitch than I had. I really am in bad shape. If you combine the REMF Palace team and the actual Palace first team's away record, it makes 2 wins on the road all season, making the REMF boys as successful as Dougie Freedman's men. Soon it was time for the trophies, where Mike Papato picked up the Man of the Match award for an all-action display in the centre of the park. We'll ignore his fresh air shot just as the announcement of his accolades came over the tannoy with 5 minutes remaining. The coveted REMF trophy was then handed over to captain for the day Chris Jones. And while the Palace team lapped up the applause, I couldn't stop thinking about what the day was really about.
For us, for the family, it's a sad occasion as well as a happy one. Never be quite the same for Palace. We were always rivals, but I think nowadays we're more friends than we ever were before.
Very successful night. Yeah, we got a good gate. We got between 300 and 350 people coming in. It was a great game. Crystal Palace, I think, dominated early doors, but then Brighton got back into the game, but unfortunately couldn't force a goal. So Palace were worthy winners, I think, at the end of the day. Tremendous atmosphere, just a good spirit between the 2 clubs. Just a bit of friendly banter, really. You know, there'll always be the rivalry between Brighton and Crystal Palace, but the games that we hold, we've become almost friends over the years, and there's a lot of respect for the Crystal Palace supporters and of course the Brighton supporters, and long may it continue.
Obviously it's great to get another one of these in my hands. I don't really feel like I deserved it, to be honest, after that performance. Did actually pick up a bit of a stitch halfway into the first half, which is embarrassing. But obviously the results not important. It's the night itself, and hopefully they raise a lot of money. It feels pretty good, obviously, to win, but it's been good fun, and that's the main thing. So hopefully they'll have raised a lot, and we can come back again next year and win it again.
I do have a different feeling towards Palace. I don't even chant in the stand-up gate Palace chants anymore at the Withdean. So yeah, I've got a completely different respect and attitude towards Crystal Palace supporters now.
I say a sad occasion, but we also get some positive feedback.